Hello beer tubers and welcome to another beer review with me, Peter, the master of hoppers. Today joined by...
Frederik, den såkaldte.
Yes, Frederik. Or Frederick in English. From Bad Seed. And I'm also from Bad Seed, so now you know we're even using proper Bad Seed glassware, but not for a Bad Seed beer. We're trying a very, very hyped brewery, Brujos. Brujos is very famous. Sam, who's behind Brujos, is cranking out lots of stuff at the moment that's getting a lot of traction. Not a lot, some stuff. The brewery is opening in March, so all the releases now in cans are small kind of releases before they're doing it full scale. Prior to working at Brujos, he's been working, or starting Brujos, he's been working in the industry for a long time and knows his way around hops. His big thing is hoppy beer. I think mainly before this one, which is a West Coaster, it was haze. And I've tried some collabs he's been in on, which have been hazy beers, have been fantastic. I've listened to the podcast he did on Craft Beer and Brew Magazine, which was amazing. Really fun to hear how into it he is. Just even labeling and everything. He wants labels to reflect the color of the beer in this design, which I mean,
it's pretty true for this one.
Pretty damn well nailed. So this is Thou, and this is a West Coast triple IPA on 10.2% and 80 IBUs, so a lot of bitterness. This is about 5-6 weeks old right now, so still quite fresh. And it's hopped with Superdelic, Simcoe, Citra Incognito, Citra, Chinook Mosaic, and Mosaic Lupomax. So a whole mess of hops.
Yeah.
And impressive that there is some head for the amount of hops and also a strong triple IPA. Because often they just kind of fall a bit flat. But it looks West Coast in the glass. It looks like the modern West Coast IPAs.
Yeah. Super pale. Especially for the color.
Yeah.
Like impressively pale.
Pin bright. It looks a bit more orange on camera, but it's pin bright yellow. This looks like Helles or Pilsner.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And
super clear.
Yes, and very nice level of carbonation and a white froth.
This is like a newspaper clear. You would be able to read a newspaper through this glass.
Yeah. I'm wondering, there must be some finding or something going on to make it this clear.
Yeah.
But I love also the high CO2. I think that's also a big part of Westies. You can see it streaming up. It almost looks like a glass of Pilsner with the CO2 too.
Yeah, it looks delicious.
Let's check it out. It smells a bit more old school than I expected, actually. To me, there's definitely a lot of sweet citrus, but I'm definitely getting a little bit of like a resiny vibe and like slightly piney. But otherwise, it's loads of blood orange, loads of citra hops, I think. But there's also a little bit of a dank Southern Hemisphere note to it.
It also has a bit of maybe like paint or diesel or something chemical sort of to it.
Yeah,
and I think that might be like the cleanness of the yeast, alcohol, and like the dank hoppiness all combining into sort of that.
Yeah, and it's definitely like diesel-y sharpness. I think diesel or gasoline is a very good descriptor for that. And I think that often comes with some Southern Hemisphere hops as well. Some lots are more diesel-y than others, but I actually like a bit of that in beers. I know a lot of people don't like it, and a lot of brewers try to get away from hops that have a little bit of that. But I think it's a nice nuance in especially West Coasters. But it smells nice. It smells pretty straightforward West Coast.
Yeah.
It doesn't smell like a triple. It smells more like a double. Like it's not boozy or anything. Let's try it.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Skål.
Skål. That drinks scarily well for the ABV. You can feel there's a good amount of dryness coming down. Also, like for 80 IBUs. Okay, now it comes. They're on the back. Really highly drinkable triple IPA, which is rare.
I think the alcohol level carries some sweetness. So I was actually, when I first tasted it, I thought, I think it does taste like a triple IPA. Especially in the aftertaste, you get a touch of that alcohol along with the hoppy bitterness.
Yeah. Not like loads, but some. But I'm surprised, like the IBUs, there's definitely some coming back, but I think there's something with also like high hop rates and stuff. Like it doesn't feel screamingly bitter.
No, not at all.
Which is But that could also be because of alcohol sweetness and whatnot. I know when he does triple IPAs in general, he tries to make them a bit more lean so they're not too sweet because you also have alcohol sweetness, which I think makes sense. But I think maybe in general, triples are better suited in the hazy style. And in general, I prefer singles and doubles in terms of IPA. But this is all I could get my hands on. And I was happy to get my hands on some just to try it because everyone's talking about it. I think this is very much in the territory of a lot of the modern West Coast producers like North Park and Slice and these kind of guys. I'm pretty sure it would be even more like intensely popping if it was a bit fresher. Even though there is definitely a smack, like a smack of flavor, and it's also relatively cold. But with triple IPAs, I also always feel like it's a gamble with the temperature, because if you let it warm too much, then it might become boozy.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's like I always prefer to drink triple IPAs somewhat cold.
Yeah.
In any style, if it's hazy or not. But I think the diesel-y thing carries through on the flavor. It feels quite modern, the hop flavor. There's a little bit of a piney resiny thing, but it's not loads.
And I feel like when you taste it, you get more of that modern hop profile than initially I got, at least in the aroma.
For sure. There's a lot of that blood orange. There's definitely like a diesel-y dank. There's a little bit of passion fruit too, which must be super delic. And I think Mosaic hints in the background with some dankness as well. Maybe not the blueberry kind of Mosaic you can get, but like dank, fruity, weedy notes.
Yeah. But
that could also be, Citra and Simcoe. Like there's a lot of dank hops in this beer.
But I'm imagining that I haven't tasted his hazy beers, but I'm imagining he's using pretty much the same amount of hops in a beer like this as he would in a hazy. And I think this, to me, it's not overly hoppy in the aroma. It's not like a punch of like smack of hops to the face. No. Which you would maybe imagine coming from a brewery that has those really smacking New England IPAs. And I think that sort of represents our common, like our shared experience of making West Coast IPAs, that it's actually quite hard to have as strong, as powerful a hop aroma in a beer like this, where the hops stand alone and are not backed up by the yeast profile or the juiciness of using a lot of oats and
all
wheat
that
and stuff like that.
Like it's more of a pure expression of hops. I think in general, like with hoppy beer, especially like hazies, it's around 4 weeks that I think they often peak. But with Westies, I often don't think they need that extra time, even though they're heavily hopped. When we've done heavily hopped Westies, because the hops and yeast and everything is usually out of suspension, they're pretty much good to go as soon as they're packaged. Awesome.
I fully agree.
Although the hazies are also good to go, but they need to settle just a little, calm down a little bit. Whereas Westies is just like, and they're just like, I even think, I'd say that Westies are even better, fresher than hazies, just because there's no support. It's just the hops. And hops fade fast. But I think also like it is fairly cold. Like this is straight out of the fridge. I wonder how this will be like.
I'm getting more of a fat juiciness now. Like some more of that. I mean, I haven't tried Superdelic smelling that, but what I imagine Superdelic smelling like from what I've heard, starting to get a bit of that in the aroma as well, like some more really juicy tropical fruitiness.
Really tropical. There's even like, as it's warming in the glass, the sweetness is being more pronounced, giving you a bit more of a sweet tropical fruit flavor. So it's not all like bright passion fruity, like pineapple-y notes. And then there's a little bit of classic West Coast. There is a little bit of that like slightly resiny, piney, but it's minuscule amounts. It's mostly bright, fresh hops.
I'd love to try an 8% version of this.
I was thinking the exact
maybe even 7.
I'd love to try a Brujos West Coast IPA again. Also just the hazies, but try one that's not a triple, because again, I prefer that package. Like we were in Germany and at the ABVs, and we had ultra fresh Ghost Town on keg, double IPA. West Coast. That was just like mind blowing. It spoke loads about how important freshness is in IPA, but that was also really heavily hot. But that felt more intense and bright than this, I think.
And what are we gonna make soon?
A West Coast double.
Oh yeah. Inspired by that exact beer.
Pretty much. Not exactly the same hops, but similar hops. At least one of the hops will be in there. But I love that Brujos is also doing stuff like this, and I think they also have lagers planned, or Sam has one because he talks about that in the podcast. Like he likes many different styles. So yeah, I think it's really good, but it's not like world class for me. And I think maybe it's also just because it's a triple. Like I have a hard time being super stoked on triples.
Yeah.
Like for me, this would be like a solid 425 on Untappd, 93-ish territory, something like that in terms of a grade. And you don't have to grade it if you don't want to.
No, I don't feel comfortable grading beers here.
I mean, I understand why. I mean, I just do it because I've always done it, even though I'm in the industry now.
Yeah, but I've always had a hard time like getting. Like usually when I have a triple IPA with very few exceptions, I feel like this beer would actually be better if it was a lower strength. I have the same impression here.
Yeah.
I think I've had a few triple IPAs. I think pretty much only from Omnipollo, where I've been like, this works as well as it could in its own right. But
there might also have been freshness. So I think we need to wrap up now. There's some cases ready to leave. So, but really good stuff. Great first beer from Brujos. Awesome to try some West Coast. Maybe we'll try some haze as well. So if you guys had a chance to try a Brujos Vow, let us know what you thought of it. Fantastic stuff. Check them out. Check them out online. Check out Bad Seed online. and check out the
Facebook fan page,
Twitter, and Instagram, and all that social media jazz. And we're going to say cheers.
Cheers.
And see you guys in another beer review.